Hello, hello. We are here with the
Hey.
Hellbreaker Sequence. Were you gonna do the "Hey, hey, it's Fat Albert" thing again? Is that what?
No.
We're here,
uh,
and here's this beautiful face I haven't seen in a long time. At least in this
yeah,
context, especially.
it's been a minute. Yeah.
And we're gonna do some Hellbreaker Sequence. We're gonna catch up with the Perihelions and decide what they've been up to. I have a few plans. I have a few things that I know go on during this. We're kind of gonna like compress the time that the rest of the game is going to be like the shadow episode of the other episodes that have been played. Because at the very least, I want the Perihelions to kind of catch up to where the present is, so that we can, if you're able to join us soon, you can kind of jump in without having to backtrack at all. But yeah, there's a couple of things that go on in the world during this time that I'll interrupt you with and be like, hey, this happens, and you have to make a roll, sort of a thing.
Okay. Yeah.
That'll be fun. But first, we were just talking about the redoubt. So the Perihelions are the Deathless Elite in Legacy Life Among the Ruins, and that means they have a special move called the Last Redoubt, which means basically you have like a special fortress thing. And obviously, Azimuth is
Right.
being taken over by the Last Watch currently, and so we're going to switch that redoubt for the Perihelions, at least for now, to like a flotilla of like fortress tanks that like roam the desert. Is
Yep.
the idea. So yeah, any of those you
Yeah.
want to change?
The lifestyle one.
I think you did say that you were bringing the ghosts with you last time I remember.
That's true. That makes sense then. Okay. I'm trying to think. Oh, here we go. Okay.
The nanoswarm ghosts.
Choose an amazing but unreliable feature.
Ooh, maybe it's ghostly servants, offer wise counsel.
Probably, yeah. I think maybe they'll be a little bit more central now that they're easier to access, I guess.
All right, I'm gonna do this. I'm
Um,
gonna make a red X, and we'll put it
oh,
on
okay. Good idea.
those ones. Uncontrollable defense.
Um,
Probably automated shells that kill with brutal precision, right? Yeah.
yeah. I mean, they literally have lasers on their ships, so
Yep.
it makes sense. Um, None of those super make too much sense,
Mm-hmm.
just because the lurking threat, just because they're all about going too deep, and I don't know
Yeah.
that you can do that in a flotilla.
What if we
Uh,
say the first one, and it's if you talk to the ghosts too long, like you go insane
oh
or
yeah,
something.
yeah. Maybe you have to have uh, momentary interactions with them.
Right.
um,
So like venture too deep in a metaphorical sense.
yeah, and I must have took some of the ability to give life everlasting since I still have that move. So I must have took at least a part of that
Hmm.
machine, I guess, from the last readout when we left. Apparently,
Yeah.
um, because you can still take the dead and dying to the readout slabs and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
that's part of that
If you
move.
wanted
So
to, I'm fine with you changing that to Stormlords for now, for a brief time. Stormlords is like terraforming stuff.
yeah, that would also be cool since it
Exactly.
moves.
Yeah.
Um, I was kind of lame when it was stationary, but this when it moves, it would be cool. So yeah, I'm fine with that.
Cool.
So let's see. Okay, so it follows this general emotion of the people there.
So what is the emotion currently?
So the options are sorrow, belligerence, horror, and revelry. Those are not very good ones. Okay, they're all like negative things. Well, at the very beginning, I'm gonna go probably with either horror or belligerence. I would think,
Yeah.
um, or I think it's more in line with the aliens if their reaction is revelry. So I'm actually going to go with that.
Okay.
Think that they're just trying not to remember that it just happened.
Sure.
Uh, so I think they're in the denial stage, right?
Right.
Um, so a fey wind that inebriates the senses.
So basically,
That's fun.
surpluses of recruit and justice are canceled, basically,
Oh,
for
interesting.
anyone
Okay, I
in
didn't
that
realize that was
area.
what that did.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. So
It's
the
terrible.
first
All right.
thing I want to, I guess give us a brief idea here. What is going on with the perihelion? They're just leaving, right? They're wandering. What's their kind of plan or goal? Are they just ignoring it? Are they just traveling for the sake of traveling at this point?
So, um, I don't know that the majority of the perihelions have information about where they're going. I know that Skander wants to try and basically like he tried to improve things with Azimuth and that didn't work. He tried to improve things with an Iron Fist and that didn't work. So I think he's just trying to find another way to improve things
Mm-hmm.
that will maybe work this time. Um, and so I think he's just looking for something like Azimuth, something with enough power to allow him to make a difference, hopefully in a more effective way.
Okay.
I don't know if he has any ideas because I don't really, since I'm not.
And so we,
It's been a hot
right,
minute, so
exactly. Yeah, we had like last heard of Eskander that he had literally left Azimuth while the perihelions were still kind of in flux to like go search out some stuff, right?
right,
And
yeah.
so is this basically like the perihelions meet up with Iskander again, or is Iskander still separate from them right now?
I'd imagined him being separate from them, but I think that probably won't last very long
Right.
based on the fact that we've adjusted the faction to around him, you know?
Yeah. So
Um,
maybe the perihelions start traveling, not knowing where they're going, and then Iskander shows up at some point soon to be like, "All right, here's our direction, guys. Like I heard what
yeah.
happened. I need you for this project or something like that."
Mhm. Right.
Okay. So let's start off with a move from Iskander to get. We won't do the traditional zoom in, zoom out stuff right now. We'll get little vignettes and stuff. Let's do a move from Iskander for like what he has been doing in the intervening months. That like, I mean, it's been 5 years really. Um, what did he discover? Right? Like,
Right.
what was he trying to discover? And I can go to the map if you to give you a little bit more idea of like
Sure.
the sort of stuff that
Yeah.
he could have looked at.
Um, why is it doing that? Hold on. There you go.
One note: the terraforming machine able to make super crops is not discovered until very late in the age, so
Okay.
that's off limits for
A
this.
holy garden healing the crack in the world's soul.
Yeah, that was where Harahel sacrificed himself to stop the Tanner invasion, basically.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's a pretty promising. I'm assuming I don't know the function of that or origin of that. I just know that
Yeah.
it's there. So that seems like a logical spot to go.
Mm-hmm.
A Cyclopean temple that has invaded our reality is also pretty
Mm-hmm.
promising. But it the Holy Garden healing the crack is a step towards what he was expecting
Mm-hmm.
anyways. So I think that's a good place to start.
Okay.
And it's also far away.
Yeah.
So
All right. Let's do this then. First, good character moves and make uh Wasteland Survival, which is plus steel.
okay. Do you know what my steal
I
is? I don't have
will
my.
try to find it
It
here.
should be pretty good because I think that's
This
his
Skinner
main.
is two. Yeah, two steel.
Two. Okay.
There you go.
11.
Nice. Okay, so Wasteland Survival. On a hit, pick one of the things that like are bad, and then on a 10 plus, you can pick one of the things that are good. So you're as you navigate through the wasteland outside of settled lands on your way to the Holy Garden, something bad happens and something good happens.
Um. Probably. I mean, obviously, a member of your group is hurt or sick doesn't really work.
Mm-hmm.
Say I lose something along the way. I feel like I was probably using my planes, so I think it would be cool to lose that and then not have a plane.
Sure.
That's just my thought.
Is it like,
Especially
yeah, go
because
ahead.
when we picked, I noticed that when we picked our transportation, it's a moving land fortress now.
Mm,
So I think we may have decided to transition to like land
mm.
vehicles, which I'm fine if we want to just stick with air vehicles. It doesn't really matter to me, but
No,
that's just
that makes
apparently a
sense.
thing
Yeah.
we'd already decided. Okay. So it makes sense that we don't have access to our Air Force stuff.
And that's the thing, right? Like there was
And
just an age change, so you can switch any of this stuff
right.
around.
I think that was when that happened, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, so basically this is like before he's met up with the other perihelions and gotten the new vehicles, right? And so this is like
Right.
maybe the last, maybe because you know you can't go back to azimuth, you aren't able to, like, maybe just it breaks down, your chariot just breaks down at some point in the desert and you just
Right.
have to leave it
Yeah.
behind.
Right. Runs out of
Yeah,
gas.
whatever the
Runs
equivalent
out
of
of
that is.
space
Yeah.
gas. Um, I mean, I think discover a secret. That's why he came here, right? He wants to figure out why this place is healed
Why this
over
place is
everywhere
healed? Okay.
else. Yeah.
So Iskander, I have a question for. Well, one quick question first. It says when you tool up in gear here, say how your body has changed since we last saw you, and get a free outfit or weapon
Right.
tag. I like the idea of just you giving us a brief description of like maybe how Iskander's body has changed.
Sure. Yeah. Let me. Is there a character sheet for him
Yep,
still?
I will drag you over to it.
Okay. Thank you.
And Iskander was like a young man, right, with like dark hair
Yeah, you had a picture on the Pinterest
that you
board that
really
I
liked.
liked
Yeah,
that was, yeah,
and he
of
kind
sort
of
of
had
an
like a
ashy
starry,
or
ashy
black.
kind of, yeah,
Yeah.
countenance about him.
Yeah, he had sort of a different look than most of the Perihelions did. I don't think he had any gold on him or
Mm-hmm.
anything. Um,
He's the goth of the perihelions. Start a
yeah, pretty much.
phase.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. It's been a lot of time.
Yeah.
It's phases are supposed to end. I have a document somewhere where because I picked what his body was gonna have like the first time that I used him,
Mm.
and so I will. That'll give us. Sorry, I have so many folders here.
I
There it
understand that.
is. There it is. Okay, I found it. So he had, I think. Wait. What does? Oh, that's weird. Does the? Oh, that's why everything's okay. Sorry, I was confusing myself with how I wrote this. So, I'd given him mantle, which I think is like a force field. Um, so I will change that. So previously, yeah, he had like a shimmering light around him at all times.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, is I guess how I would describe
Yeah.
that. Now I think I'll probably change it to something else, but once again, now I have to find the tags in the rulebook
Yeah.
here. Oh shoot, I don't have. I'm trying to remember where I have the PDFs because it wasn't my own thing. Oh boy, where did that go? Oh, maybe I can just. Legacy Core has the right. Oh yeah, it has all of them. Okay, so here we go. Let's define tags. Sorry to
No, you're
drag
good.
this out, and I know it's just a small detail. I just don't have the.
If you already made like a doc for this, and I want to hear it.
Well, that was what I looked for. I found the doc. I had mantle. That's what I was looking for. Now I'm looking for the new stuff,
Hmm.
the tags in the rulebook here,
Got
so
it.
I can say what has changed. Um, okay, here we go. Here's gear. So the options for tags. Do they have like a list? No, they separate them out. Okay. Um, armory. Oh, that's for weapons. I assume that's yeah, outfit. Here we go. Okay. Um. Ooh. Okay. I think. Okay, I think he'll have powered, which is normally motors in the joints remove any encumbrance from the outfit and let you carry heavy loads
Mm-hmm.
indefinitely. But I think in this case, it's just his body, right? So he just is like twice as tall as he was, not maybe that tall, but he's just huge compared to what he was last time we
Sure.
saw
Yeah.
him. And he's carrying like four bags, like four huge bags. He's just like his own,
Chariot.
um, yeah, basically.
Cool.
And so I'll put that down. Um, yeah, and I think he might even have some like, uh, what are they called? I'm reading the book right now and I can't remember what they're called. The Parshendi, like carapace looking type
Oh
stuff
yeah.
in some spots
Sure.
where it would like support his joints and
Right.
whatnot, that kind
Yeah.
of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, that's I
Cool.
think what he looks like now.
Awesome. And so we see him walking across the desert and eventually reaching the Holy Garden, healing the crack in the world soul. So this used to be like a rift that held like a Tannerin swarm that was like seeking to
Oh boy,
escape,
okay,
right? And
right, yeah,
Iseret
that sounds familiar.
went over to it, tried to channel its power to make her and friend more powerful. And instead
Okay,
she got possessed by a legion of demons.
right,
And
vaguely
yeah, in the
remembering.
Tannerin, we're escaping, and so Harhel sacrificed himself. He used his move, Gardener, to basically make it, like the move says you can make even the harshest wasteland into a virgin garden of life. And so I had her be able to use
Oh
that to like seal
boy.
away the Tannerin crack and make it into like a holy garden instead.
Cool. So the answer to my question is killing killing what's him calls them? The uh heralds. That's the
Well,
answer.
so what do you exactly want to know? Uh,
He wants to know why this place is healed as opposed to everywhere else.
yes, the answer is well, so okay.
Great.
Couple
Okay.
of things here. It's not all heralds, right? It was Harahel
Right.
specifically.
Yeah.
Um
That's a good point.
the thing that if you want to know like the secret, right? The
Yeah.
secret was harmonia, right? The good magic of the universe, the good music of the universe that
Mm,
connects
okay.
straight to God, that has been very
Mm,
lacking of late because of this world's disconnection from God.
okay.
But recently, just very recently, a crack in the sky above Azimuth opened up, and pure harmonia is bleeding out
Oh, okay.
because of Cassius's connection to God, where he looked into eternity and became immortal.
That's right. Okay. Um, well, it sounds like he's got a lot better position to do this than me then.
Oh, for sure, and that's actually
Hmm.
that's actually what his plan is. That's what Jared's plan is to get this move himself, and because he's immortal, he's just gonna keep damaging himself to because the actual move is like you do 2 harm to yourself, and but
Oh,
Harahel only had
okay.
2 harm boxes left when he did
Right, so
that.
it
Yeah.
killed them. I see. Okay. Um, yeah. Well, so I do have some ideas, but I almost wonder if it would be worth it in the face of him having access to both Azimuth and all that harmonia. I don't know if he, I mean, whatever is better than nothing. So I think I know what he would like to try to
Mm-hmm.
do. But I don't know how long. I mean, we're trying to cover a lot of ground and time wise.
I mean,
So
what
I
do
don't
you
know how
think?
you want to. Well, so I'd like to see if using what remnants of that energy are here, I can try and alter the necklaces that are how we kill things
Mm-hmm.
to channel that energy instead.
Oh, yeah, to
Um,
channel the harmonia instead of the just
so that
yeah.
we're basically like I'd like to try and at first just do that so that I can make it so that instead of the fire, I want to do the opposite of that thing we came up with where the singers kill everything around them to heal people.
Oh, the life
They're to
singing.
keep
Yeah,
their
yeah,
people
yeah.
alive. Yeah. Well, not the opposite because it won't kill the people in the caravan, but almost the opposite
And we
where
did cannibalize that world for
it
this
would
one, so yeah.
yeah, where it would heal. Basically, I want them to go around and heal areas that they're in,
Hmm.
and eventually he would like to link that to his uh Stormlords thing and to try and make it in a huge area right around them.
So the plan is
Um,
you
but
want to
that obviously will take some time.
basically make magic terraforming technology that heals the land instead of destroying it.
Right. I mean, to be fair, that was the idea the first time around. It just didn't
Yeah.
do it the
Hmm.
right way. So now he's trying to use a different method
Yeah.
that hopefully, I mean, this one has previously worked. Azimuth was untested
Yeah.
as far as he was aware. So,
Okay, so I mean, to do that, you're gonna have to like go find your family again,
yeah.
right? And like work on this
Right. Yeah.
for a longer period of time. So I think first what happens is, um, Connor built a wonder at the very beginning of the age.
Yeah. I heard him saying he regretted
Yeah.
that.
And he the when the wonder is built, I'll just grab the actual wonder. It affects every other faction because that's how wonders work. And so we haven't been able to go through it with you, but I want
Okay.
to briefly
Yeah.
like have you. I think it's you just decide like how they messed with you, and then you get a need. I think. Um,
Okay.
but let me find. Here it is. It's the Airy. So basically, he made a throne where a Tannerin lord came to the recollection and now gives out boons and stuff to the family. They
Okay.
basically just made they enticed a Tannerin to be in charge of them directly.
I'm sure that was real hard.
Yeah. Um,
Okay. Great.
and so what happens is when summoning the visitant, the owner determines the nature / identity, blah, 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 blah. So you did that. Every other family says one way the visitant wreaks havoc on their family's holdings, society, or plots and gain a need of the GM's choice. This doesn't have to be like the demon literally showed up in your camp and did something. It's just like
Right.
why his appearance, how did it affect you? And what need
Yeah.
you get from it. I'll go to the family playbook so you can look at.
Well, at this point, they're still in Azimuth, so I don't really know.
Well, though
How
this is
to
this is at the end of the 5 years, right? So I assume that
oh
transition has already
oh
happened.
okay, gotcha. So this we're assuming we're already the new iteration of okay.
Yes.
um I mean, I'm trying to think based on like what needs there are, like I mean, I suppose if the intention is to walk around as a you know, harmonious aura, that he would be inherently counter to that, right?
Oh yeah,
Like,
certainly.
so I don't really know what that would reflect as a need, but I feel like
The direction that your
basically,
faction is taking is directly counter to the Tanner.
yeah, one, we probably can't go there right now either, like in areas where he has
Sure.
dominion, because I mean, our thing is assuming that I even succeeded to rig our necklaces to be this way is obviously a ad hoc item at its small scale
Mm-hmm.
compared to that. So I think in this case, like we wouldn't be able to go places that he was at. So I don't know what kind of needs there are that would reflect that. Um, like I don't know if freedom is one of them or freedom of movement or anything like that. But obviously, if we're restricted in where we can go based on anywhere his
Maybe safety.
yeah, that seems appropriate.
So as a need, it feels like every time you blink, a new crisis assaults your family. Between health, safety, shelter, and innumerable other concerns, there's too many fires to put them all out.
Yeah, I mean that's appropriate in general, I think.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. So you currently have safety as a need, which means you have a mood of -2. But I think that if you manage to pull this necklace thing off, you can erase progress as a need. Right, because that seems like a step in the right direction for that.
Sense. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So let's see. What move do you want to try to do with that?
For the
Yeah,
device.
for the. I guess it would maybe just be unleash power.
Yeah, well, this is when you find a device. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's up to you if that
Oh yeah,
counts, because
it's
I'm trying
also
to
when you
make a
have a
device.
device.
Okay.
This would be like. Well, actually, wait a second. Does your character have any specific moves like this?
I mean, I have like do magic as a move. My character is a soft magic system, basically.
Right. So you're not
Um,
contorting your body, but you are when you force the power within out to twist the world around you. So
yeah, he
basically, you're
has.
doing that to then get access to to Harmonia.
Yeah, basically, I'd like to try and alter the nature of the. And I don't know what arcane nature the necklaces have already, but I'd like to try and alter the arcane nature
Well, I
to
think we decided that initially,
that.
right? The perihelions were just people with technology, and then they
Right.
found out a way to power their technology using the Discordia to like give it that super technology push to actually accomplish their goals. And they
Okay.
stumbled
Yeah.
upon it, and ultimately they're the reason that the demons got out is because they used
Right.
the bad magic to try to accomplish
Okay.
everything. And so this would be this would be you basically just changing the magic from being powered by the Discordia to be the Harmonia. And honestly, I feel like Eskander is only now understanding what actually his faction has been using this whole time.
Yeah, I actually don't know if I knew
I
that.
don't.
That doesn't
Yeah, I think
sound
we
familiar to me.
mentioned.
So
I think when we did an Azimuth episode where Jared was going through Azimuth. Oh, you were there. The Nissa one. We talked about the origins of the fall, and you guys saw those like ghost swarm things, and they were like reenacting what happened.
yeah,
And we
yeah,
had a conversation about like the order of which things happened, and basically we said like the Tannerin weren't
right,
responsible for the fall. Humans were, and the humans brought the
right,
Tannerin when they made things fall. And I think,
right.
yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think the reason for that, and maybe we didn't say this explicitly, was that they used Discordia to power everything.
Yeah, that was the part that sounded unfamiliar
Yeah.
to me.
I feel like we maybe have talked
So
about that since then, but maybe not on screen, or I don't remember specifics. And it might have been implicit.
yeah, honestly, the distinction between Harmonia and Discordia specifically is something that I either have forgotten in the time that I haven't played or wasn't familiar
I mean,
with.
the Perihelions really never had any interest in that anyway.
Yeah, right.
And basically, the idea is, so I actually have been doing a lot of kind of Cosmos building in over Thanksgiving break to figure out some more kind of like specifics of the way this universe works. And I think the way
Okay,
it
perfect.
worked is there used to be one music, and it was called the Melodia. Right, it was the
Okay,
constant melody of the universe, and then something happened where this discordant music tried to clash with it, and then to counter that discordant music, the harmonia came into existence, right? And so
okay,
we have the two opposing forces where the harmonia senses that there are two streams of music. There's two voices now in the universe, and it's trying to harmonize them.
right.
And the discordance is always trying to make them out of harmony.
Okay,
And
gotcha.
so those two streams of magic or music is
Hmm.
how magic works in this setting, and it's whether or not you keep them aligned or intentionally unalign them to do something.
Right,
So
I
the
see.
idea
Okay.
is you used Discordia before because you didn't really know about any other way. You were just like, oh,
Uh,
hey, two streams of magic that we can use to do this.
yeah.
And honestly, I feel like the Perihelions don't know the first thing, but maybe their super
No, I
technology.
mean, we literally just was like, oh, Azimuth can do things.
Yeah,
Push the button.
yeah, the Perihelions themselves probably don't know anything about this.
Yeah,
They're whether or not their super technology ancestors did, unsure.
that's well. So I know that because Eskander was. I don't know if I've talked about it, but Eskander was the one who pushed the big red button.
Okay,
So he was at least around then,
okay. So
and
at the very
I
least,
don't know that.
he doesn't understand. He didn't understand the difference between the Discordia and the Harmonia. You probably just found a
No, I doubt
power
it.
and used it.
Yeah, because the playbook is very much like you found this
Yeah.
technology, and you don't understand
Mm-hmm.
it. So I think it makes sense if that was the case, right? Like this is a I think it was a we had an episode where we found out what azimuth was. Holy crap, when
It's
my
like a
brain today.
convergence of the planes or something like that. Like
Right. Yeah,
all of
yeah,
the
it's
dimensions.
exactly.
It's like a dimensional vortex.
Right. And so for some reason there's an inherent discord to that apparently because that is or just them using it the way they did
Made it that way,
caused
yeah.
it to be that way. But one of the two. But yeah. So I have to say, yeah, he'd like to try and swap essentially what these necklaces channel.
Yeah, so the thing is, you would be using the Discordia to try to make something use the Harmonia, which I'm not sure is possible? Question mark?
Right. That's true.
I think what you're doing is you're taking your family to the garden, and then you're unleashing power there, which is still going to be lore, right? It's going to be the same role. But I think instead you're
Okay.
trying to channel the energy you found in the garden
Mhm.
in to figure this out, because otherwise you're just going to probably cause the same problem. You can't use your own magic because your
Right.
magic is powered by the Discordia.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what do you want specifically? What's your intent on this? Like in the unleash power move, it's like, say what you want it to do. I've given you clues on what it can do. Yeah. What do you want it to do?
Yeah, basically, yeah, he wants it to alter their technology to work on a different magic, right? Since
Yeah.
he apparently can't do that himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does this mean that,
Which he probably tried to do.
right? So do you have inherent Discordia magic, Eskander?
Yeah, so as because Eskander is the one character I picked from my playbook to be functionally like properly immortal,
Mhm.
he's special, which is also the reason that I've said that he's the one who was around at the beginning.
Yeah.
It makes sense. And so the idea was that when he did that, it killed everybody else, more or less, in that room except him. It like convergenced and he became that technology that they used to become immortal, but more in a purer form. Basically, he is terraforming technology, like power.
Right.
And if that was powered by Discordia, then yeah, it was that's functionally
So
what makes his atoms survive.
right. So this is a good
So,
question then. Are you also trying to change your inherent attuning?
I mean,
Because it sounds like the umbrella could still cover you as well if you wanted it to.
As a character, I think yes. Narratively, I don't want that to happen because we already have a shining beacon god. Jared is always a Jesus character. And I don't think that it would be interesting to have two.
Yeah.
But I do think it would be interesting to have
an entire society
try to do that and fail again,
yeah.
right? Like, because partially through my ineptitude in rolling and partially through the backstory I've already given Eskander, his whole thing is that he keeps trying to do the right thing and keeps failing and making everything worse. And I think that's a cool distinction to Jared's. I don't know if it's a good distinction necessarily, but it's a cool one to Jared's, like, I murdered people for a living and now, I'm Jesus now for some reason. Like, and obviously there's a lot more to it than that, but basically, like, that wasn't his. He was trying to make things better, but that wasn't his intention necessarily in the same way. And then he succeeded.
He stumbled upon success where Scanner's been trying so hard and never
for thousands of years and has failed. Every time. And so, like, I don't actually want it to work. I want Eskander to stay this like unwilling paragon of discordant power. But he would be trying to stop that.
Okay, so let's do this then. I mean, I think it sounds like your character wants to change all of the Discordia that the Perihelions use into Harmonia. So I think that should be your goal, but you can always just choose the device. You don't have to choose the device does exactly what you wanted, right? And then it will be, it doesn't work for you because you are Discordia.
Yeah. Well, and I am almost interested. Well, let's make the roll. We'll find out. So.
Yep. So plus lore.
Right, which his lore is
2.
2. Yeah, he has lots of +2. And then 1 - 1 because I don't actually need it for anything. 10.
Nice.
So that does what?
Yep. So pick 3 of those options.
Pick 3. Okay, so
all of the other options besides. Well, it doesn't need to be used again, right?
Well, actually, I mean,
up to you, I guess.
Kind of, because if we ever want to replicate it, so I do think I want to pick that because his intention is eventually to make that a larger scale thing, right? He wants he wants to use that on the readout
Mm.
to be like, so that their emotions channel positive. Basically, I want to take those 4 negative things and make them 4 positive things, right? Is the idea. So that when there's a positive emotion coming from the readout, there's also a positive effect on the land, is the idea.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he does want it to work again, because I think he's trying to think bigger
Sure.
with it. It doesn't do exactly what I wanted, because I think as a person who is inherently, his molecules are discordant, I think it's interesting if it does the opposite to me, and it hurts me when this stuff happens, right? I think it makes sense that it would not only work on me, but that it would be like a negative thing to me.
Mm-hmm.
You don't rouse other devices, that's fine. I don't know what the device's side effects would be in this case, but I guess it doesn't matter.
But yeah, relatively, it's safe for your entire family. They start channeling the Harmonia instead. You've just changed the Perihelions' destiny forever. I love how like the Perihelions were the antagonists of this game, and then slowly it became obvious that the Hellbreakers, who were the protagonists, have now become the antagonists.
Yeah.
Now the Perihelions are very much like on their road to redemption, which is fun.
Yeah, they're trying. Yeah, cool. All right, I like that. And I think that also means that Eskander doesn't wear those necklaces anymore, because I don't think he can.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good consequence for that.
Yeah, because it doesn't really seem like it would make sense. Cool.
Awesome. Yeah. So your kind of idea with that too was to what, like, you wanted to change the readout so that it was like channeling good emotions and stuff.
Yeah. So then the next step was to try and basically like change Stormlords to be a healing thing, right? So that and I mean, I don't know, rewriting moves is like, obviously that's super into your territory, so it's up to you.
We're spanning months of time with this, so I feel like it's totally fine to be like one roll to do a bunch of cool things, sort of thing.
Okay. Yeah, his intention is to try and make it so it's like, and I don't know that we have to mechanically go through and actually make 4 new like things, but basically he wants it so that the energy that extends from their thing is a positive and healing, like, on the land, which probably doesn't remain when they leave, which is a thing that he'll have to work on more, right, to make it like a proper, because none of these are permanent things.
Yeah.
From the Stormlords, it's just like the weather in the area. So basically he wants to turn the weather in the area to like, proper good weather that would heal the land and stuff. But I imagine it would, once they leave, would further, or would just kind of become desolate again. So later on he'll probably try and find a way to make that stick, but for now he's just trying to make it so that he can integrate that into the actual.
Okay, so your first step was to make all of the necklaces into that, right? Or was that the move to do all of the technology at once? Because I'm fine with that. I was thinking that was what it was.
Well, so I mean, I'm fine with that, especially if we have more time to cover. Yeah. So yeah, it's up to you.
Because it sounds
his
like
intention was to try and like do it to the necklaces so that he had something to work with to do it to the readout. So it's all sort of an extension of the same concept. Yeah. So if you're fine with
I think so. Mainly because you have a lot of time here to do this. And yeah, I think it makes sense. You were doing it. You're basically trying to rewire all the technology at once, probably in successive stages, but it's one roll, I think, to change all of that. So yeah, I think Stormlords, basically you have become literally the Life Singers. Where you accept a reverse Life Singer, because you're using your own energy channeled through the harmonic devices to make the land good.
And it honestly might actually be the literal opposite of Life Singers, because I think this probably is draining on him when it happens, because he's literally he's the eye of the storm if the storm was a good thing, right? Like he's a spot of functional evil in the center of a otherwise healing.
Yeah, you know what I think it does, David? You know what I think you created with this, with the Stormlords thing? I think you created a flotilla of terraforming vehicles that leach the Discordia out of the land and convert it into Harmonia. Right?
Cool.
Because really, that's the real problem with Bastamen, with this planet, is that it is seeping with Discordia that makes it impossible for things to grow right.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're literally going around, and eventually, because you haven't made it a permanent thing yet, like it eventually comes back, but it's like this swath of healing.
Well, and I like the idea that the reason that that's possible is because of the fact that he's still discordant, right? So like, I imagine like the first time this happens, right? Like they go to a new area and he goes out into like the center of the area and like touches the ground and just like draws all of the Discordia out of the ground, and then it is converted out of him, right? So like he's like a lightning rod for all the evil energy so that it can be siphoned off and changed, right? So like obviously unless you had a person who was able, but was as aligned with Discordia as he is, who's willing to basically sabotage themselves, this wouldn't be possible, right? Because
at least with the current setup you have,
because that's true. But like presumably most people in this circumstance would be using it, not wasting it in their mind, right? So like it's probably the reason we haven't seen this kind of thing before, because obviously none of the Tannerin are going to pull something like this. So I think that's sort of the mental image I have in my head of how that interaction works.
Cool. Yeah.
I don't know if
I'm totally down.
Sense,
I mean, it's a fun metaphor of like the whole John Cleaver thing, right? You do you're the bad guy so that nobody else has to be, sort of a thing, right?
That's true. So
I think you have progress is taken off as a need, and honestly, I think land is taken off as a need, because I don't think it's not that you have land, it's just that you don't need it.
That's
right?
True, yeah.
Because you create it where you go.
Right. All right, cool. I mean, I'm happy with that.
I don't think you quite have safety yet, because I think the Tannerin, you're now a beacon for Tannerin, because they're like, whoa, wait a second, what's happening here?
Especially because I'm literally like drawing their energy to me wherever we go to convert, so that makes sense. It's probably like getting a GPS ping every time I do that, right? Yeah. For anybody else in the area that can do that.
Yeah. What would actually be funny too is, I think because of the way it works, there's two options here, right? Because you drawing the Discordia out of the ground would be a threat to that which is holy, right? So the heralds might show up, but the problem is there's also a way, or like a blanket of Harmonia surrounding you, and so either it's they sense this and then they're like, but there's also Harmonia there, so I guess it doesn't matter, or it just conceals the Discordia entirely. Like maybe that I think that's what it is. Like the heralds never get a call to go to you because the Harmonia around you conceals the fact that you're discordant.
I like that idea. Yeah.
It's like if you hear, there's a symphony of beautifully harmonized music, and then there's one guy with a xylophone who's just not playing the right notes, but everyone else is drowning them out. And so it's every once in a while you think you maybe hear that something was off, but there's enough music around it that you can't hear.
It's that time when they all end on the same note and he goes, like, all right.
Exactly, awesome. Cool. Yeah. So what else do you think would they be up to during this time period?
And I just on what you were just saying, I think it would be cool if every time they do it, the heralds get like that alarm, right? Like they sense this growing Discordia and then it just disappears like every single time
before they can ever.
They're just like, why does this keep happening? But anyways,
awesome.
Because that would give them something to investigate, right? What else? Okay, so I mean, obviously one of the intentions is to try and make this conversion permanent.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe we want to go a different direction for now, or like I guess there should probably be some steep requirements for that, right? And then that way we can peel off in that direction and have some inevitable try-fails
this is the thing. I think what you might be doing here, David, is trying to build a wonder. I think that's maybe what you're trying to do.
Oh, I don't think I have the mood for that.
Right, but you basically the idea is we make a couple of rolls for you to get some surpluses that then you could spend on it. Like, I think you might be doing the Green Defiance.
I don't know. What's that?
You
I have not read the Wonder
No, you're
List,
good.
so I'm not familiar with.
You know deep in your bones that all the miracles of before surely depended on the same basics of a secure supply of fresh water and bountiful food. That to reach for the stars, you must first dirty your hands in rich soil and toil under the sun. It's hard work for hardy people. You are ready. So basically, it's like caring for the land, making. Yeah, I mean that's what it is, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's just music instead of plows.
Exactly. It's like the abundance of.
Um,
You're trying to
yeah,
cultivate the ground and stuff.
that's cool. I like that. So Wonder is you roll plus mood to build, right?
No. So what happens is there's a certain surplus requirements, and once you mark off the last surplus, then it triggers.
Okay, so what do I need for that one?
Crops, land, fresh water, progress, and morale.
Well, okay, that's gonna take a minute.
It will, yeah.
Well, fortunately, at some point there is a terraforming machine able to make super crops, so we'll probably go over there at some point when that happens. But so I need to have land as a surplus.
Yeah, so you at least got it off as a need, so that helps.
Right. What were the other ones? I'm sorry. Maybe I should.
Yeah, you need all of them basically. Crops, land, fresh water, progress, and morale.
Okay.
And I'll write them in chat here so you can just have them easy at hand.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, yeah. So I guess, I mean, the chances of me successfully getting all those is pretty low. But,
and let's just pick one, make a roll, and just keep going, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I'll wait to do the crops thing until that machine shows up because I think obviously it's cooler to tie it into something that's already there. Yeah. I think the natural extension is either progress or land, right? Like we just, as you continue to learn how to do this properly, we get better at it and like get to the point where instead of having livable land around us at all time, we have like actual bountiful land around us at all time that is, you know, benefiting us. So I feel like that's the natural extension, right? Is you just try and like figure out what we're doing here, like how to do it right.
Okay.
So let's go for either land or progress, whichever one you think is more appropriate for that.
Depends on what you want to. You know what? So I want you to be able to kind of look at your options in both character moves and family moves to try to decide how to do these. But just to give you a little bit of idea as the direction to go with that, I think probably for land, the real like thing, because you could just go anywhere in theory, right? Just start, there you go, you have land. But I think the thing that's stopping you now, besides, you know, before it was the fact that everything's a desert, but now it's the Tannerin catch up with you, right? You have to fight for a piece of land, right? If you try to choose a piece of land to like try to do this with, the Tannerin are going to fight you for it.
It's contested. Yeah, that makes sense.
So how are you gonna?
It's like trying to use Stormlight and Elfgar.
Yeah.
Screamers come from you. All right. So family moves, right? Or wait, you're saying this would be a character move?
Whatever you like, whatever you make an argument, I guess. What I'm saying for whatever move you think that would be.
I mean, anytime that Eskander needs to like confront something physically, he uses magic, right? Because he doesn't have force.
So you want Eskander to like face them with his immensely powerful magic?
That's I mean, at least that would be his method, which is I think it's its own move in his arcane aberrations. Arcane aberrations. Yeah, so like basically he wants to try and like just magic them away, right? Like the twist the world around you. So yeah, he's trying to just do things like it's obviously on a large scale because but he's trying to do things that would kill them or make them go away or whatever, that kind of thing.
I'm curious about something real quick.
Open up a hole in the ground or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. You're trying to do Avatar level bending.
Yeah, basically.
Ooh, that's interesting. I was just curious about well, you're the remnants, right?
Yes, I think so.
I think you have marked the prophet move. Mark when you guide others through their own transformative processes. Say how they become more than human. The GM tells us how they become much less.
Nice. Okay. That makes sense to
Yeah,
me.
because this whole channeling the harmonia thing, I think that's what that is. How do
Okay.
they become more
Awesome.
than human?
Me or
Yeah,
them? The people.
the people that you changed with the harmonia. And this, you're a
Oh,
prophet,
right.
right? So this doesn't necessarily have to be a bad
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think like the whole intention, right, is that Iskander's like, okay, after doing this Fist of Iron thing for so long, trying to like double down on Azimuth and like make the best out of what we have, which has not worked. Like, we need to change gears and try and instead of enforcing order in a way that is not positive, right? Just trying to like let's improve things first before we like actually try and demand that people obey some sort of basically we got to give people an incentive to want to follow leadership,
Yeah.
right? Not
Mm-hmm.
just not dying. um and so I think the intention is he's trying to extend that mentality of not only like being a positive influence instead of like a well, what is it, instead of giving instead of just getting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what Azimuth is used to. Azimuth is used to decadence and taking and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because they had a feast at all times in their place in
Uh-huh.
like this garden, and they were manipulating or not manipulating, but leveraging the workforces,
Mm-hmm.
cheap labor, free labor, as it were, of all these other people. So yeah, I think his intention here is to change their mindset as much as actually like physically change them,
Mm-hmm.
because obviously there's been I don't know if there's any physical transformation there because they well actually I should there probably kind of is because they are basically a lesser version of what Eskander was, and that the reason their bodies are like the nanomachine things is because of Azimuth, in the
Mm-hmm.
same way his is, just to a way lesser degree, probably such that it could actually be like altered, in the so my thought is the same way that we've altered the necklaces, we've altered the people in a similar way,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, it's
It just doesn't work on Eskander because it's
right. I
you
think
know
probably what it is more than anything is in a metaphorical sense, something beyond human is, actual, I like, what's the word? Actual benevolence, like actual,
right.
like cooperation and like moving
Okay.
beyond your petty selfish humanity into something
Yeah.
that's really honestly only possible through the harmonia itself, whether or not anyone in the
Mm-hmm.
universe will admit it. Um,
Right.
but yeah, it is literally the harmonia itself is changing the way that people interact with each other in this faction because it's literally making them
Mm-hmm.
nicer.
Yeah, and we're also like required to work with what we
Yeah.
have, and massively humbled by the last like 10 years,
Yeah.
and
You're
all
in a
those
pretty
sorts of
good place to
things in a
change.
similar way. Yeah, so I think that's probably the primary difference, right?
Cool. I am
uh,
so down with, and this is just an idea, but I'm so down with the end of this campaign being, turns out the Hellbreakers all along weren't the Hellbreakers. And like,
the
right? Yeah,
perihelions or
like
the
the
Hellbreakers.
Perihelions are actually the heroes of the whole thing.
That would be pretty
That'd be
funny.
awesome.
I'm fine with that as long as I can roll well enough to make it
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
uh,
Um, I'm hoping
yeah,
that the end of this will be, because remember the idea is everybody gets on a generation ship and goes off the planet.
yeah.
But I think like I would love to see like a mix of all of the factions make it on that ship,
Oh yeah,
and
for
then they
sure.
mesh together to become whatever the
Yeah, especially because the nature of the generation ship is like there's so many people on this ship that each basically like job is its own cultural
yeah
like phenomenon,
yeah
basically. So it insinuates a lot of people and it insinuates very cultural division.
yeah.
So I think that makes a lot of
Mm-hmm.
sense. Uh, yeah, that would be really cool.
Okay, and then it does say in there then the GM says has they become much less than human or something like that. I
Hmm.
think the bad thing about this. I think maybe this isn't exactly in line with the wording of it, but I think there's a danger here in that you've kind of opened up, even though it's making them nicer, right? It's kind of like giving them incentive to be good people. It's also opening up the possibility of getting too, like, maybe too reliant on the immense power. Maybe not reliant is the best word. Maybe taking for granted the immense power that they do have in the Harmonia. And it's not maybe so much that they would like use it on purpose to damage people, but maybe they still just don't quite understand what it is they have. And they might be reckless with it because they don't understand it yet.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So I think honestly with that roll move, I'm totally fine with giving your faction morale. Sounds like that's what they have now.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that makes sense. And then you wanted me to make a move as well for
to fight off the Tannerin, yeah. Right. So the reason I brought up the profit thing though is you can when you do a roll move, you get a add one to a stat or get a new move. So
what's the maximum to a stat? Is it 2 or 3?
3.
All right. I don't know what our inheritance moves are. I feel like I didn't like them.
I don't think any of them really make sense in this given circumstance. They're right here, right? Revive characters who forfeit their death move. Roll a familiar face and find a path of lasting advantage on battlefields. Yeah, none of these are really helpful for you.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll probably just take +1 to lore because that is the stat that he uses, right? It's lore for magical powers.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. What is it that takes steel?
Your body.
Right. That's right. Okay.
Cool. There you go. That's my gift to you.
Yay! Thank you. Yeah, I was thinking about that. I was like, there'll probably be like roll shifts, I imagine, through the course of all this time, but I didn't want to.
And normally, a character would retire after getting your 4th roll, which is what you just did. But you're immortal, so you can just keep coming back.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, are you gonna roll lore then to Avatar State? Yep. I
hopefully this goes well. Just barely. Right, good thing I had a +3.
On a,
that bonus saved me.
On a hit, the energy bursts free and does roughly what you wanted, but on a 7 to 9, there are unintended side effects decided by the GM. So roughly what you wanted is like destroys the Tannerin.
Yeah, well, basically, like, because I don't know that the move is aggressive enough necessarily to be like you kill them.
Yeah,
I want it to be basically like that they can't get to us whenever this happens, right? So functionally we're at a stalemate where we draw the power, they come to us, and they can't get to us because of whatever. Like there's probably a specific thing that I can come up with that is what he puts in the way. But I don't know if he just makes
sort of magical
like
barrier.
A cyclone or a flaming wall, something like that, right? Yeah. Like something ridiculous that would be damaging if they tried to touch. And so they just can't get in, which also has the interesting sort of side effect of meaning that no one else can get in as well, right? Mm-hmm. Like no one can benefit from what we're doing because it goes away when we leave and they can't get in any more than the Tannerin can, right?
Yeah.
Which is obviously defeating the point.
but I think you're in the process of figuring out how to make it permanent.
Right.
And so this is like a stalling tactic. Yeah. To give you the time.
It's a cool thing for them to try to overcome, right? Because they're like, okay, this is working and that we're not getting killed, but also we have to find a way, like we can hold this land, but now we have to find a way to make it so that we can actually do what we're trying to do and make this stuff stay when we leave. Otherwise, we're not going to have any progress.
Yeah, for sure.
Or any more progress.
And then unintended side effects decided by the GM. Were you saying the side effects were that nobody could get to you?
That was my thought. I don't know if maybe that's enough of a cost.
I think so.
Mind.
Yeah.
But okay.
That's fine.
It does kind of force them into isolation again, and that
which is fine for now because there's a time period
right.
here in which you kind of do need to be isolated from the rest of the factions.
That's true. And also, I think it's an interesting conundrum for them to be in,
Yeah.
right? That they're trying to do stuff, and it's yeah.
Yep.
It also ironically makes them very. Oh well, especially if Eskander is doing this, that would make an ironically a Discordia sandwich, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there would be now Discordia energy externally visible around all this harmonium. So I don't know
But also,
if that
that's the thing though. It also, the firewall keeps out anything else. So I think honestly, what probably happens
right.
is some heralds show up, they fight the Tannerin outside, and there's
That's
just
true.
kind of like a constant, like whenever you guys do any of this stuff, there's just going to be a battle outside the camp, right?
Nice.
Next to this flaming wall.
Yeah.
Because honestly, the heralds have been pretty. There's been a lot of stuff where the heralds haven't been doing a lot recently either.
Okay.
In terms of like people, individuals of the heralds have been doing some things, but the heralds as a faction, we haven't really seen a whole lot from them. So this makes sense that they would be spending a lot of time trying to figure out what the heck is up with this dome of fire that like suddenly appeared, and
yeah,
because that's probably what it would have to be. It's like some sort of magical fire
to,
dome or something. I
assume they can fly. So. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. So that was to get land. Yeah. So I think you have.
Right. So secure land.
I think you have marked off. You have safety.
I still need water and okay, cool.
And so this is the thing. You can't have. So I'm gonna put this down. You don't have safety as a need anymore, and you have land as a surplus. This does mean that you have a +3 mood. You can't get higher than a +3 mood. So I would just go ahead and spend those surpluses now. You can spend them at any time to just on the wonder.
I
that's
see.
The idea.
All right, that makes sense.
So you're gonna spend morale and land then. Yep. Okay, cool. Sure. They're spent. So you're investing them in the land. You're investing them in this wonder. So now your mood is
cool.
+1. Okay, cool. What's the next step? You need 3 more. You need fresh water, progress, and crops.
Okay. I think progress is the last one I want because progress is the culmination of this, right? It's the goal of all of this is to make a thing that allows progress.
Right.
Like, so I want to do that one last because I think essentially that doing all the others is leading to that. So I need crops and water. I mean, I don't know. You said that magical crop machine shows up pretty late.
And
right?
so just to give you a glimpse of what is actually going on there, basically, Mortuo, who I don't know if we told you about this, but Mortuo is a character that Josh made, a quick character that Josh made, who in the past was Eskander's body carrier. Basically to bring him back to the last readout if he ever died, so he could be revived. I might have mentioned it to you, but now he has been hired by Cassius as his body carrier. And so cool. Mortuo was in. There was a situation with Mortuo, and he found it in the desert. He found his like abandoned terraforming machine in the desert. And then pretty much immediately the next session, Cassius sent people to claim it. So I don't think there is an opportunity for the perihelions to get it unless it's like we wait until the next time you and Cassius can interact, and then you like get crops from him or something like that, right?
Yeah, maybe for the sake of the rest of the people play, like the rest of the cast being at least they're involved when stuff happens. Maybe we should have that last one be part of a session.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if I didn't realize I could invest surpluses because that means then I can't lose those.
Yeah, well,
which was my concern. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to hold on.
You can if something bad happens to change the narrative. Like I can say the Tannerin get in, and now your land is ruined.
That's fair.
But it's a little bit more permanent than if you had not spent them. So it'd take a little bit more work for the Tannerin to actually ruin it.
Okay. Cool. So that means fresh water is basically the
thing to do now. Yeah.
Main one that's next. So is there fresh water on the map anywhere?
Let's see. I don't even think so. Like this is mainly a desert. Oh, the hot baths. We also didn't decide where you
right.
put this. If you wanted to,
Well,
you could say you put it over there.
we're roaming, right? So,
Well, I think the idea now
uh,
is if I think. Oh, I see what you're saying. Wherever you end up placing the wonder is where the Green Defiance will be. But in the meantime, you're
yeah,
still
right now
wandering
we're just
around.
trying to make, find a way to make it permanent.
Cool.
Basically, we're trying
Yeah,
to
so you
build
can
a
go to the
wonder,
hot
right?
baths if you want to.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that makes
That's the only
sense.
source of fresh water, except for this like gross looking lake over here.
Yeah, yeah, that probably won't count. Um,
Okay. So I think this is probably like Eskander going into the hot baths, elegantly carved into smooth stone. So it's like a ruined, basically Japanese bathhouse, like massive Japanese bathhouse. Like that's kind of the vibe that it is.
nice.
It's like, but it's like a gigantic complex.
Okay.
So this is probably a Scanner like going in and checking it out to like see how they could siphon it off or
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah, yeah, probably. That makes sense.
How do you want to go ahead and do and like figure out how to use it? Um,
Uh, Not to just rely on the same thing over and over, although I did build him to do that. Uh, but I think if this was like a player level thing, he would try and essentially mold the area into something usable, right? So take it from a bunch of hot, baths and make it into like a lake or something, right? Something that can be drawn on
I
reliably from a
mean, what
single
about an
spot.
aqueduct?
Or that, yeah, that makes sense.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess he's old enough to be smart enough to have that kind of
Yeah.
information. I mean, I guess that's also a move I could make. I could make a move to like to come up with that idea if
Yeah,
you
you want to
want.
make Unearthed Forgotten Lore first?
Oh, trying to find. Oh, is it?
That's like because when you stumble upon like a landmark or something, then you use it to like know more about it. So I think that's probably the first step here.
Sure. Where is
It's
that?
in character moves, peripheral.
Oh, oh, okay. Uh, is that a wonder or a horror? Yeah.
Because
Okay.
we don't know anything really about the hot baths. People have joked about
Yeah.
going there, but no one's ever gone there yet. So I think
Sounds about right.
a couple episodes
It's time
ago,
for our anime
I was
episode.
gonna say like literally a couple episodes ago,
Yeah.
I think it was Josh who joked that we'd have the beach episode.
Jeez.
Oh man.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good thing I had that plus 3 in that. I would have failed both of
Uh-huh.
these.
So
Uh,
I think you get to ask one then. You get one data and you ask
how?
one.
Oh, I get a data. So okay. How can I turn it to my advantage? I think is the one that I needed the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I
Basically.
think what happens then with this is
Let
I'm going to go ahead
me.
and add data to your sheet here.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I won't bother then if you have it on here
Yeah.
already.
I think the thing is, if you just choose that option, obviously that's the only one you can choose. You can make the aqueduct. You're like, yes, I can channel it by using my powers to make an aqueduct to channel it to our land, right? That's you can do that. But
Okay.
you
Cool.
don't know anything else about it, which means there's going to be side effects because there's something magical about this place. Something's weird about it. I don't know specifically, but we'll kind of get into that.
Right. Of course.
So do you want to go ahead and roll your reshape the world move?
Oh right.
To make the aqueduct.
Yeah. So it's
you also have it. You also have
a
real quick free roll. You also have a data now, so you could spend it to get advantage on this if you wanted to.
Okay. What's the benefit of rolling well on this? Oh, it's a character move, right?
It's just no unintended side effects.
Oh well, that would be preferable. So yeah, sure. I'll spend the data on that.
Cool.
That makes sense. Yeah,
Whoa.
I didn't need it, but that's okay.
Dang.
Sometimes I roll.
Oh, and so it doesn't give you a +1; it just gives you advantage.
Oh.
So I mean, you would have gotten a 4. It wouldn't really matter.
It wouldn't have mattered
because no matter what, you're gonna succeed.
I got an 11 on the dice, and it would have been a 14. Yeah. So.
You basically the other thing would be you'd roll another die, and then the highest of those 3 is the
right.
But either way, you're gonna succeed.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So you perfectly make this aqueduct, and obviously it's like sheltered from the Tanner and attacking it and stuff, right? So you make this giant aqueduct that funnels the hot bath water to, and it's like a spring, right? Like it's the only probably natural spring that still exists in this region. And so you manage to funnel it into your land, and I think there's going to be a long-term consequence to that I don't know about yet, and I'll think about.
Sure.
But something's weird about the water. So
Yeah, of course. I mean, there'd have to be. It's the only not gray body of water on the map. So,
exactly, yeah. What
uh,
it's like? What is keeping it good?
right.
Yeah, that's the question. Yeah, so that gives you
Cool.
the surplus fresh water, which I assume you're going to spend immediately.
Yep.
Okay. So just crops in progress. Do
Yeah.
you maybe?
So, I
Yeah,
mean,
I was just gonna say you could make a roll basically to like figure out the last steps of the process.
yeah. Well, so I'm thinking, as far as progress, I was thinking progress would be last, but I still have to roll for progress. It's not like I'll just get it for free.
Yeah,
So I think now that we have a place, because like we can't ditch this place anymore
yeah.
because,
You have aqueducts
so
going. Yeah.
right. So I think I'd like to try and make a roll essentially to like collapse the roaming place into a actual, you know.
Oh yeah, sure. Make the readout into an actual like camp.
Yeah, right. Yeah, to build a readout, basically. Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's something that I feasibly have time to do left in the like
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
narrative
Yep.
sense, but okay. I also have no idea. It's probably a family move scale thing.
I feel like what we should do here is you should do uncover secrets as a family and consult your parliament of ghosts to do this, because the idea is you're gonna like ask the swarms of nanoparticles to be like, how do we make this into a permanent base? Like we brought you here. Like, how do we make
mhm.
this a redoubt? How do we actually like make this into another azimuth?
Right. Isn't there a family move for that? I think.
Yeah, uncover secrets is a family move, and then Parliament of Ghosts is the family move you have um,
Yeah,
to
but
like get
I'm just
advantage
wondering
on.
if you roll Parliament.
You don't. I don't think you roll Parliament of Ghosts. No,
Oh, okay, yeah.
you just get advantage
You
when you
roll
consult them.
and oh, I see. Okay, gotcha. That's what it
So
does.
I think what we'll do first,
All right.
Eskander, you're gonna have to
Yeah.
make some sort of roll to talk to them without going insane or something other thing bad happening to you.
Yeah. Um, Eskander does have a special move for talking to people. Sorry, could you switch it
Yeah,
back over to
yeah, yeah,
him real
yeah,
quick?
yeah. Use that one.
He has inhuman elegance. When you spend time alone with someone, they become fixated on
Perfect.
you. So I think this might be the
Yeah.
way that he, which obviously it can backfire. I think
Mm-hmm.
this is the way that he goes about doing this, though.
What does it actually look like?
So
Is it just
yeah.
they are you don't do anything and they just become like focused on the discordia within you, or
I mean, I think he like there's probably the largest vehicle, right? The proper land ship or whatever that is the focus of this place, that has like a lot of the facilities and
mm-hmm.
stuff. I think he probably is probably like a Holy of Holies style chamber there where they keep the spirits, you know.
Yeah,
And they don't go in there for obvious reasons. Um, and
yeah,
so I think that's kind of what it is, right? Like I think there's basically like an airlock somewhere that he goes in through.
yeah.
And I imagine these vehicles being sort of run down, but I don't know if
That's
that's
probably true. Yeah,
yeah. So like I like the idea of them having been really regal
mm-hmm.
because they belonged to the, but like obviously they've been driving around them now for all this
Mm-hmm.
time, and they don't have access to the crazy stuff that they had before. So it's all just worn down and
Yep.
stuff. So it's probably like all faded wood and scuffed gold and all that kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Um, and yeah, so like he opens basically like an airlock to between these two places.
Yeah, and I think the
And
right, you see the court of ghosts, right? And I think
mhm,
like they usually do, they're reliving some sort of memory from the past. And I think
mhm,
what they're doing right now is they're reliving the moment where they crowned like the first emperor of like the
mhm,
whoever whatever god leader they crowned at the beginning of their like glorious empire, when they
right.
started figuring out the super technology and becoming immortal and all that stuff. Um,
Mhm,
so there's like a fake coronation happening.
yeah, I think it would be cool if like there's he's like a slightly older guy, and then he has um a son and like a daughter-in-law,
Hmm.
and they have a kid, and the kid is a Scander, but you can't tell, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's like a baby because you
Yeah.
can't tell it's him.
Iskander looks and notices, and we get the thought from him. He's like, "Oh, that's me."
Yeah. And yeah, a long time ago. And yeah, like he probably walks up to the woman and says, mother, and then keeps walking or whatever. And
Right.
even though she's a ghost and can't,
Exactly. Yeah.
although she probably is also a ghost and actually there, but she's probably insane.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
um, and yeah,
I mean, I think that's
so
probably exactly what happens. Right? You say mother, and then you walk past, and then she just cackles,
yeah, she looks at him
cackles
and
insanely.
cackles,
Yeah.
and then goes back into the. That's creepy. All right, there's no wonder I'm the only one that comes in here. All right, hopefully this goes well.
So do you go
Yeah,
up to
so
the
he'll
the emperor then? Is that
yeah, probably.
and honestly, I
Let's
mean,
see.
given who these things are, this probably is actually the emperor, right? This was the
Yeah,
god leader of your people.
right, for sure. All right, cool.
Do you play
So
real
yeah,
quick? Do you play along with the the illusion? Do you like entreat
that's a
him
good
as if he is?
question. I feel like that's an interesting, like, um, expectation, right? That like if you break the illusion, then it's more difficult to get information out of
Yeah.
them, right? Um, so yeah, I think probably right. He bows and uh, what's do we have a name for this guy?
I can make one up.
Okay.
Egyptian name generator. Come on now.
Oh, you know what? Oh wait, never mind. I feel like maybe this inhuman elegance thing doesn't quite. Oh
Yeah,
wait,
give you
no, never
something you
mind. It
want.
does
Yeah.
work. It's the reason I was saying it doesn't necessarily work is because they spend it, so he doesn't have to do it right now. But that's up to you. So,
Right.
um, yeah.
Let's see here. His name is Amul.
Okay. Cool. Um, yeah. So I think he bows and says, "Your Imperial Majesty, Amul, congratulations on your coronation. I have a matter to discuss with you. I know you were just crowned, but it is of some pressing importance." And he like, is essentially trying to like spend stall enough to have spent time with him, right? Because he has, or I guess he's trying to get him alone because he doesn't have to spend time alone with them, right?
Yes.
So,
Yeah. So his face, he was like looking up like regally, and then his face like it's like his neck doesn't actually move until the rest of his face does because it's like this swarm, and the swarm just shifts, and then the neck
like
rotates as well.
That's creepy.
And then he says, with probably just like it's like they probably can speak, but it's like this weird kind of like buzzing noise on like this just like buzzing noise behind their voice.
Yeah.
And he says, "Ah, yes, Eskander,
like,
you have grown up very quickly."
I like the idea that they don't open their mouth when they talk; their chest just vibrates like a speaker.
Yeah,
because it's just coming out of their chest where their like diaphragm is. Although they wouldn't be able to make words because they don't have a tongue. But whatever.
they have a bunch of
vibrate
or a bunch
way.
of speakers on the various nanoparticles.
Right. Yeah, he says, yes, such is the miracles of azimuth, as you will discover, I'm sure.
Ah, yes.
It is of a sort of private concern. If we could discuss somewhere else. And he sort of gestures to like a side area, which there isn't one, but I think like when he gestures to it, the collective psyche creates one in the image, right?
A bunch of the servant uh, the servants who were buried with their masters in the ghost parliament, right? They are the
Yeah,
ones
yeah.
that are making the floors and the like all the tapestry, like any part of the building that's like recreating the
Oh yeah,
image.
yeah, yeah. That's cool. So like part of the floor leaves so that there can be this room,
Exactly,
and
yeah.
it's just the like I like the idea that part of the floor stands up and becomes like three different people. Yeah, they walk over and
And they become a
just
door.
dissociate into a door
Yeah.
and a room beyond it. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And so I think that
All
I
right.
think he's fine with that. He says, yes, of course. I must have time to entreat with my subjects." And then he walks
Yeah.
through.
He says, "Thank you, grandfather," and yeah, he walks on with. And yeah, so I guess he just
Yeah,
like gestures at the door, and the person moves.
right. And
And
like you go into this room, right, and then some of the servants stand up again and then dissimulate into pillows, and he like the guy the
yeah,
mule sits on them cross-legged,
yeah,
and then gestures for you to sit the same on like across like a low table.
yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah, and he says the I don't know the names, proper names or anything, but like yeah, basically the scouts have found. Wait, so this is for what again? This is for the
How to make the readout here.
right, the readout. Yeah, 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 that's what it was.
Basically,
Um,
how to make a new readout.
yeah. Um, and this is basically like I'm trying to find out how to make a fortification from what we have, right? And
Yeah,
like
basically use the
make it
technology that you
safe.
have in the vehicles and stuff like that and make them into something more permanent.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, he's basically like our scouts have found a excellent position for a forward operating base, but they need instruction on how to construct it to be defensible from their land land ships, I guess, whatever. From the land ships, they unfortunately do not have the appropriate uh, personnel for that, and I figured you, of all people, would have the most wisdom to share.
All right, go ahead and roll plus play.
Of course. Yeah. Can I get advantage on this? Is that right? Because of
Yeah, I'm gonna give you
the thing?
no, it would be advantage on well, actually,
Oh, that's right. It's a different move. You're
honestly,
right.
this is the move because well,
Well, because if he gives me the information I want, right? Like,
you won't need to make that move. Exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
go ahead and
So I
take
think
advantage
this
on it. Yeah.
is okay. Cool. Thank you. Right, so I'm just gonna do 3d6 and we'll drop the lowest out. It doesn't matter. So 11.
Yep. Okay. Um
10 plus hold 3.
and then you can spend your whole 1/1
Yeah.
doing that. Yeah.
Well, so you spend it, I think, actually. Yeah, they can spend your hold 1 for 1 by
Oh, okay.
giving something you want, giving you secret information, protecting you from harm, introducing you to
While
someone.
you have hold over them, they can't act against you. Okay, that's cool.
So I guess this will stay, and you can spend as much of it now as you want, and much later as you want. I suppose
Okay, so what
it's
is
up to
something
you. I
that you
guess
want
technically. Um,
specifically?
crops. uh,
I mean,
um, yeah, I don't know. I feel like there might be something personal for Eskander that would be more because as of now, Eskander, especially because of the scale that we've been working, has been almost more of a face of the faction
yeah.
and less of a person, right? So I think he wants. I feel like he wants to feel like he's still like it's still possible to succeed, right? Because he spent all this time failing. And I think so like maybe that's not quite what the move is saying, right? But I feel like he wants as a person he needs, I guess, as a person to be like
Assured that it will work.
yeah, right. Because what he's watching this stuff work, but this is exactly how he felt right before Azimuth ruined the entire planet.
Mm-hmm.
So like I feel like this is probably the point where he's the least confident because he's like, I feel like everything's falling into place and this has never gone right for me before. from this point, right? Like it's always gone downhill from here. Um, so yeah, I feel like that's like as a character, that's what he wants, right? Um,
Okay, so
and I
I
don't
think
know if that's
he's
something
gonna
this
give you
guy can
secret
give
information.
him.
Okay, this is what.
Okay.
So how do you share that with him? How do you get that across to him?
Yeah. So, uh, I mean,
Like, is it like you're trying to, like, you're about to say the thing, like, we need this thing to make sure, and then
all
you just
right.
like deflate and you're like, grandfather, I need
Yeah.
assurance that this
Yeah.
will work. Like,
Right. So he says like they found a place to build. He's like, um, yeah, and I think he sort of like looks off to the side and says, "I hope it works this time."
and then he says it won't, and he's like definitely breaking character.
Oh
He
yeah,
just looks at you and he says it won't.
yeah, and he looks up like starts little. He's like, What do you mean?"
Not if things are the same.
Sorry, what was that?
Not if things are the same.
Not if things are the same. Right, right. He says they're not the same. We've changed everything.
We are the same. Us. And part of that is like, is he just talking about like the perihelions as a whole, or the court, or you and the court, like the old
Yeah.
people?
So
Like, you're not sure.
my mind went to him and the court, right? Because he knows that the people aren't the same because he's watched them become not the
Yeah.
same. But he's still the same, and the ghosts are still the
Mm-hmm.
same. And so he nods and says, "Yeah, I suppose maybe we are the problem. But without us, how will they survive?"
How have they survived with us? And this is like, you're starting to see, at first it was like almost like a glitch in the programming, and now you're seeing like the ghost seem to like literally gain its sanity again for a brief moment
Right.
of clarity.
Yeah.
And it's like literally as if your grandfather is actually there and is telling you, like,
Yeah.
I have watched this from madness for hundreds of years, and it
Right. Yeah.
won't work if we keep doing the same thing over and over again. And he looks at you and
Yeah.
he says, you're trying to do it both ways. You're trying to do it the way I did it. You're trying to do it the way you did it before. You are making the same mistake we always make, trying to play both sides of a conflict that has been going on for millennia. You have to pick a side.
Yes, I tried. It doesn't accept me. There's nothing I can do. We're trying to change the whole world. We need power for that. We can't just do that with a one blade of grass at a time. We can't make a difference unless we have enough strength.
And then
That's why we needed azimuth, although that went poorly.
yeah. And I think he looks at you and he says, the first thing you need to do, the only way this will work, my grandson, is you have to destroy us. This court is a shroud of death hanging over these people. As long as they look at us as the ideal, they will never have peace. They will never move forward. They must accept death.
Where do we come for answers if you're not here?
And he seems to start breaking a little bit, and he says, I am the emperor. You come to me for answers. And then he stops and he says, no. He seems to be fighting back and forth between it. And the idea is that I think you're getting from him, like, he's convinced that they can't give you the information, like, even though they have secrets of the universe and all this stuff, like, they're maddening by even more and more by the second.
Yeah.
And I think he looks at you almost like his eyes widen, and he looks at you and he says, we will kill you all. Destroy us. We will kill you all.
uh yeah. And Eskander just shakes. He's like, there has to be something above us. We can't be the last rung on the ladder. We have to have somewhere we can go. And like I assumed that he's losing his grip as
Yeah, and he
Eskander's saying
starts
that.
to
But
like glitch and stuff, and the swarm starts to like fluctuate. And the last thing he says before he definitely seems to like break and go back into the illusion is he looks up into the sky, and he says, a rift leading to a place like no other, a man, but not a man, a force, a man, uh, a god. And then he like slumps, and then he says, "Would you like some tea?"
yeah, and I think Eskander just sort of like deflates into the table he's sitting on and says, yeah, sure. And like uh is like trying to collect all of his thoughts with, and also still hoping that the guy will, the illusion thing will still, or the mad version will still tell him how to build a fort, right?
Yeah.
But he's, yeah, at this point he's just like sifting through in his mind what just happened.
And then you want him to give you something you want, which is like the ability to like make a new readout.
Yeah, basically. And then
I don't know. Let's talk about that, because I think what I want this to be is on the same level of like Azimuth, not like the same thing as Azimuth, but like you're essentially, you are legitimately creating another readout, not just a ramshackle like. It's not, you're just
okay,
not making a bunch of vehicles into a permanent base. You're trying to make like an actual magical.
well, yeah, we have a giant pool of magical force that wants to be destroyed that we could maybe use to do that. So maybe like the idea is we could essentially convert all of this discordant like ghost madness into some sort of energy to actually like construct a thing out of,
I
you know
mean,
what I mean?
yeah,
Or maybe we could try and
it's
like run this whole court through like the, I don't know, I'm saying like so much today, through the same process that we used to convert, right?
that's
So
what I
maybe
was just
we
gonna
can
say. Yeah,
convert them, yeah.
yeah.
Uh, Especially because I think they're a sort of dissociative nature might make them easier to process, even though they're probably at the same level or similar. Maybe not the same because Iskander was straight up like at the center of a thing when
Mm-hmm.
it did that, but they're probably like in the same boat as Iskander where it normally wouldn't work for them. But I think they're so dissociated that they could basically process parts of them,
So I think
right?
probably what you can get them to do, and I think he explains this to you again as the emperor, but basically says like, we have power, we are powerful, we have technology, we have whatever. Use us to build your fortress,
Mm,
and you get from
yeah.
that you can basically make them as the nano swarm
Mhm.
to construct something, right?
Yeah. So I think it would be cool I if Iskander like went out. It's like it's kind of nods. He says, "I will return in a moment." And I think he like we see time skip a little bit because it doesn't matter where he's going.
Mm.
And he comes back with one of the like I imagine that they have some of the necklaces that are forward converting, right?
Mm.
Like I imagine that's how they do it now. Because that's how they affect stuff around
Yeah.
them is with this, all that stuff. So I think he brings one of the necklaces in and is going to use it to try and convert this power in the room to basically he's going to try and do it himself because no one else can come in here without safely come in
Mm-hmm.
here. So I think he's going to try and do that exact thing, right? He's going to try and convert that power with this necklace, right? And then because his whole thing was he can't play both sides, so he knows he can't use them in their their discordant form.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, obviously, like this is going to hurt him because he can't use his power properly.
Yeah.
But also, if anybody else did it, they would probably die from the
Yeah.
ghosts. So he's going to try and do it anyways. Um,
Yeah,
if that makes
and
sense.
I'm curious, like, what do you think the new memory they're reliving is when you walk in again?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Do you have an idea?
Hmm. I mean, if this was like a book or a show and it was convenient, it would be something between like Iskander and his
Yeah,
parents,
that's what I
probably,
was
and
thinking
like
too. Yeah.
something along those lines. Because of course, uh, um, like maybe the grandfather's deathbed kind of thing,
Yeah.
and so they're all there, and at that point, he's probably like a young adult or whatever. Um, right? Yeah, and
And it's funny because there's like a different perihelion, like dead perihelion, that's playing you because you obviously didn't die and become one of these
right,
things.
yeah, this
And
would
so
just
you're
be one of the
like, you're like,
servants. Yeah.
Alex, like you can't. That's not. You're not
Yeah,
me.
I think yeah, we see the scene sort of shift, and then when Eskander comes back, he walks through the guy that is playing him, and then the guy dissociates around him, and he takes his spot.
Yeah, perfect.
And I think he probably remembers what happened well enough that he plays it out, right?
I think
So
probably what actually happens is instead of just like the swarm just like disappearing, it like goes around you and
yeah,
reforms as the clothes you were wearing on that day, right?
that's cool. I like that. Yeah, um, yeah, and so I think uh, they're talking over him as he's lying there. Um, and I don't know if you have anything off the top of your head that you think he'd say, but if not, then we can.
Yeah, I mean, I think he clasps your hand, Iskander, and he says, "My boy, you have grown into a fine young man. When you become the emperor, do better than I did. I feel like I did not live up to my full potential. I have so many regrets, so many things I wish I had done differently."
Yeah, he just sort of shakes his head and he says, "You did more than you could know, and I just need to thank you for your direction, even after this." And it's like, yeah, he basically just puts his hand on the necklace, and
And then all of the
I,
ghosts just start screaming.
oh yeah,
Like as soon as you touch
yeah,
it, it's just like.
oh yeah, um, and yeah, he just sort of like looks to the others and says, "Goodbye," and then yeah, he um I guess sings. That's how they do it. Yeah, he starts to like hum in that weirdly like way too loud vibration humming that they do when they use their uh
Voice of the swarm,
necklace or
yeah.
whatever.
Voice of the
Yeah,
sun, rather. Yeah.
uh, yeah, and then just it. I mean, you describe I guess how it goes, right?
So,
When
I mean, this is the thing, right? I think there's a role here.
yeah, probably.
Um,
I imagine it's like unleash power or
yeah, that's what it'd
something.
be. It'd be unleash power. Yeah.
Yeah.
So plus
Okay.
4.
Oh, that's good.
I'll give you advantage. Because of the secrets you learned from them.
Oh, cool. Thank you. I assume this will hurt me. Oh, I got 14.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, I think no matter what, you're gonna take harm. I think you're
Yeah.
gonna take 3 harm, and you're gonna be exhausted.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Um,
It's good with me.
so we see your body start fluctuating as your
Yep.
shapeshifting harm box marks, and then you just are like gritting your teeth, just as you're like being forced. And then the ghosts, I think, are they? I guess they're probably just vibrating with your singing, and
Mm-hmm.
fluctuating and spasming, and I think their color is changing from, I think they're usually like this kind of like ash gray, each of the nanoparticles
Mm-hmm.
when they like come together,
Yeah.
and it starts to go into this kind of white gold
Mm-hmm.
as you do the song, and
Yeah.
then eventually you just slump, and then I
Mm-hmm.
think they all
Yeah.
collapse into just like a sea of sand on the ground, basically.
Mm-hmm. I also think like yeah, so we see him on like collapsed to his knees basically, and I think there's like a big golden scar across his face
Nice.
of like uh yeah of his molecules basically struggling to stay in
Reconstitute. Yeah.
form, and then like it slowly solidifies, and then yeah, there's just like a faded golden scar over his face
Nice.
because he's otherwise like ash gray. Well, he's like an actual gray, and so it would stand out really sharply on his skin to having a gold.
Cool. Yeah.
um, and yeah, I think he's probably gonna have to recover.
But then, yeah, there's this sea of sand that just fills this room now,
Yeah.
and you know that you can command it, right? And it will start to do things.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, I think after a little bit, he takes a deep breath and he starts to really gently hum, and so the necklace starts, going in, but it's not enough to like kill him. And the sand starts to fly out, and I think it probably just breaks um the side of whatever vehicle he's in.
I think
The
probably what they
large
start to do
vehicle.
is they start eating all the vehicles. Like
Oh yeah, that
they
makes
just
sense.
start
Yeah.
completely disintegrating
Uh,
them and reconstituting their atoms into whatever they're going to build.
yeah,
And so all
that's
the perihelions are just like, what is going on? And like they fall out of these buildings or run out of the buildings or out of these
yeah.
vehicles as they're being like eaten. And they're like, what?
hmm
And they're like freaking out. And then we just see Eskander as like the eye of the storm again, right? As it's like
hmm
they're just like reconstituting all the atoms. And then what do you want to build?
It's a good question.
You know, you can build like some sort of artifact fortress on par with Azimuth. Just
Right.
depends on what kind of thing you're thinking of now.
Yeah. I almost feel like this has to extend to him in some way, right? Because in his mind, when his grandfather said you're doing it the same way, it was including him, right?
Yes,
He's
and so
still
I
this
think the last thing,
discordant
there's one hold still
thing.
to spend, and I think the last thing
Yeah.
that you kind of get from the memories of the, you probably do. You probably get a giant memory dump from all of these perihelions
Okay. Yeah.
as they're being changed, right? And I think
Mm-hmm.
you understand a lot of things more poignantly than you did before. I mean, you were there for a lot of this, so like you know most of it. But
Mm-hmm.
I think the one thing that stands out, the last piece of information that they give you before they go, right? Because I think they're
Mm-hmm.
basically dead at this point. They're,
Yeah.
they become just things to build something, and then they'll stand there forever.
Right. Yeah.
I think the last thing you get is like a vision of the crack of Harmonia above Azimuth, and you see a vision of yourself jumping into it
Okay.
or flying
Nice.
into it or whatever else.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And that's like their last answer to you. And so building the readout you can still do without being changed yourself, but the idea is if you want to finish this, if you want to make the Green Defiance and actually make sure the terraforming technology works this time, you have to purify yourself.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
But for now, you can just build the readout.
Yeah. Okay. So let me find the readout. I think is in a
Family moves, yeah.
Yeah, the families. Yeah, because it has the boxes you can check. I think on the readout.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, here it is. Okay, an amazing but unreliable feature. I think its vanishing gardens provide solace would be cool. Like I think there's like an imitation of the kinds of things you saw in Azimuth, but they're not real, right? And
so it's like a
it's
gallery of memories for what they once had.
Yeah, and it's like a giant hot spring too. So I feel like there's, even though it's been turned into like giant aqueducts and stuff, right? I feel like there's still probably pockets of area that are basically like tiny little
I mean,
oases
yeah,
that you can
I
go.
feel like you probably, instead of like necessarily making a giant aqueduct to like somewhere else, you probably just are building this on the hot baths themselves, and you,
Oh, right, yeah.
yeah, and you,
I just figured it would be an aqueduct like to get around the place we're
yes,
building,
yes,
but I guess yeah.
yeah. I wasn't entirely sure what I was thinking in my mind, but
No,
that makes more sense. Yeah,
okay.
you're like
Yeah,
reconstituting the hot baths to be like focused on
yeah.
the freshwater area.
Hmm.
Um,
I'm imagining a little like Bossing Say's mail system, except for with water.
you mean Omashu?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Mumashu, yeah. Um, these are all really intense, but I think I'll take automated shells that kill with brutal precision, like
You
still,
still
because
have
they made it out of
yeah,
the same.
yeah,
And I don't think deadly whales or myths make a lot of sense
yeah.
anymore. Lurking threats.
So, you know what's kind of interesting though?
Hmm.
What if we changed your faction?
Yeah, we could do that.
Because I feel like a lot of these moves just don't make any sense anymore, and the whole feel of the faction doesn't make any sense
Yeah,
anymore.
I mean, yeah, I don't have Parliament of Ghosts anymore.
And it's specifically like it's still just you can't ever hope to occupy all its levels, and you've forgotten more of its secrets. Like that's not true anymore, right? This is something you are creating.
Right.
The idea I had that just came to me was, what if you changed your faction to be I think they're an Engine of Life.
That makes sense that they would be from Engine of Life, probably. Whatever I end up picking.
You should be
Family Playbooks 33.
Where are they? Nope. There's one of them here that I was thinking. The Architects of Tomorrow.
Shape the landscape to their will.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's the first one. Okay, let's see. We as a people have the power to refuse to let the fall define mankind or end history. We have the power to come things up.
Right, because the idea is like looking towards the future, building something new, except specifically with like terraforming stuff. Like that is what they're about. Yeah. So this is like the what the perihelions always should have been.
Yeah, true. That's a good point. I like that. Yeah, let me look at what do they do. Yeah, I mean, let's just do it, and we can figure out what they do as we build it. So,
right,
do we have to do a new...
I will go ahead and
character sheet.
Yeah, make a new faction page here, or rather, I will delete these, and we'll keep the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But let me find that page.
Just out of curiosity, is the tear something I can see from here?
The tear? Yeah, I think so. You can see azimuth from here, so yeah.
Okay, cool. I have an ability that lets me fly to any place that I can see, so... Yeah. Just out of curiosity. I figured I might try that.
Yeah. All right. Wait, I actually have them in this my other computer here. I like made images of every page in all of the legacy books in PDF, so I could easily just put them where I needed to put them. Let me find it. Legacy handouts. Engine of Life. Tara, you're fine. Yeah, here we go. Architects of Tomorrow. Right, I need to open up Roll20 on this other page.
So when you make a new faction, or you change the faction, is it, you don't do all this like background stuff and making landmarks and all that kind of stuff, do you?
Probably not. We'll go through it piece by piece and see if we like some of it or whatever.
That makes sense.
All right. So first we got to put this up because we will actually quickly shift that page out because there's a different alliance move on it. Oops. Crap. No.
Right.
No.
Gotcha.
Here we go. Oh, I need to put the grid on. That's why. I put the grid on when I was like originally organizing these so that it's easy to like put them to a specific ratio.
Smart, yeah.
All right.
There we go.
Here we go. So there's that. And then we'll go ahead and put this page up. Because, like, this is definitely very much still in line with the Perihelions themes.
Oh, yeah.
But definitely, like, they're not the weird, grimdark things they were before.
Right, yeah.
Like, all of the redoubt stuff is like, this is mysterious and dark and evil and whatever, you know?
Yeah,
and that's just not going to be the case for this.
Are there any surviving perihelion quick characters? I don't think there are. I think Eskander is the only named perihelion still alive, isn't he?
He might be. Unless you count Mortuo, who's kind of a perihelion.
I mean, that's true. I was just trying to think of somebody I could be like, you're in charge until I get back. But
yeah, I don't think we have any named perihelions at this point.
Yeah.
Darvishi Nasur is still alive. The scientist that you got to do your stuff.
Okay. Right. I don't think you'd put him in charge.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Okay, cool. So let's take a look at this stuff.
Okay.
I'm fine with you changing your except you got a plus to sleight last time, so you probably wouldn't want to change your. Well, you probably shouldn't be bad at reach because that seems what these guys are good at.
Yeah.
So I mean, a look.
It's fine with me.
You can get a +1 on something because that's what you did before. You got a +1 on sleight, so I'll you add one to a stat after the fact.
Okay.
But you go ahead and choose one of those stat loadouts there.
Yeah. Let me. So if nature reclaimed the land after the fall for you with the truly alien.
Probably the second one, right?
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense.
And then do you want to add one to reach then, or grasp, or?
Yeah, probably to reach. That makes sense.
Cool.
Traditions. One of the options for a populace is the wise descendants of eco-terrorists, which is pretty on the nose, but it's not wrong.
Yep. Yeah, wow, that is true. That's exactly you guys.
Yeah. Style. Let's see.
Because obviously your clothing has had to have changed because you don't have access to the same luxuries and stuff.
Right. Well, and I think Eskander always wore like gray cloth. He never wore, not never, hasn't recently worn gold and light. So, and I don't think anybody else is taken after that necessarily.
Yeah.
I don't think he wants people to. Although I guess depending on their opinion of Eskander, that might happen anyways.
Yeah.
So that might be honestly how it is. Governance, a council of elders.
What is the style going to be like ash gray clothing or?
Yeah, I think so. And like yeah, probably. Maybe they do like golden tattoos or something like that because of his scar. You know what I'm saying? something like that. But I don't know. Governance, council of elders, or reputation, economy, independent cells following messianic texts. Let's see. These are weird. I don't really know.
Maybe the first one makes sense.
Yeah, can do that. That makes sense. Landmarks. I don't know if any of these.
Well, yeah. I mean, let's see. I feel like it might be fun to kind of re-envision some of the things that are on the map with these.
Yeah, well, I was thinking we could re-envision the hot springs thing with the option for a haven, which is a large construction that seamlessly blends concrete, steel, and nature.
Ooh.
Which would be a cool look for the readout, right? Like,
right, of course, yeah.
But
and they don't, yeah, they don't,
and obviously
they don't have that in this part of the sheet, but they, yeah, obviously have it there.
Oh yeah,
a large construction that seamlessly blends concrete, steel, and nature. Perfect. Yeah, makes sense to me.
A sudden and intense climate change is a threat that you can pick. A bridge to the stars, that's intense, but also we're not there yet. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. And I assume we're not doing treaty because they can't answer questions anyways, and I don't think that would work. Doctrine, choose one. The Builders Guild. When you encounter a human-made structure, you can ask the GM one question about its origins or weaknesses. Secret Order, add resources to the land can yield.
What else are you looking at? Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
Oh, nothing. I'm on Doctrine now. I was just reading the Doctrine options. Keepers of land. +1 to defuse any environmental challenge or obstacle. I think Keepers of the Land is cool. Your characters, I don't know if we'll ever use this, but your characters and followers gain +1 to defuse any environmental challenge or obstacle. Whoa. Because they have those necklaces,
That's
right?
awesome.
Like,
yeah.
I feel like that makes sense. Lifestyle, not nomadic, not dispersed, well, settled. Yeah. I guess that's the option. Your buildings follow secret principles from before, all unforgotten. I mean, none of that's. Oh yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, you gain surplus defenses and share it with those who live in your settlements. Perfect. I don't know if I get that for free just for changing, but all right, cool.
That makes sense.
Thanks. The architect's lifestyle surplus can be shared with any given family or faction only once per age. That you can provide it for everyone in the homeland if you feel inclined. Not sure I get that, but okay. I'm assuming we're not picking resources because we already sort of have that.
Yeah.
Assets. Your character always have a tool. Okay, so always have a tool or secret to help evade monsters. Evade the monsters? That's really specific.
As in, like, if there are... the monsters in this would be Tannerin.
Oh, that's useful, given our previous concerns. Mm-hmm. That's cool. All right, we'll have to figure out what that is.
I mean, it's a, not the, right? So it could be anything. It could be a different tool or secret every time. It's just whenever you tool up, you can have that.
That's true. Okay. How do you fight? Compound bow, stone cutting laser, earth current, tomahawk?
As in,
like our... Okay.
As in, like, probably earth bending tomahawk.
Oh, I thought it meant, like, actual earth, like our current earth.
Oh, yeah.
But you're right.
Because it's aberrant.
Yeah, and it's an aberrant. You're right, yeah. And
obviously you can do something else.
Yeah, I don't really know that.
Because the thing is, I don't even know if the voice of the sun, I don't think those are weapons anymore, right?
No, they're not. I don't think they would. I mean, they would be against the Tannerin, maybe.
But that would be like a more unleashed power than like an actual
probably
weapon.
The tool or secret that helps him evade the monsters more than anything, right? Yeah. So, we'll have to think of something else. I don't know that any of that super fits necessarily.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously there's an option here to choose something else. So.
Right. I'll think about that. How you defended weatherproof. I mean, I feel like this has to be the same, right? Because the thing I picked before was the literal bodies that we had. Right. So that can't really change.
Oh, what do you mean?
I wouldn't think. How are you defended was the nano bodies.
Well,
right?
unless you constitute those together too to make the readout. Maybe everyone's nanoswarm physiques and the
But
harmonia. Well, that's the thing.
they'd all be
I think
dead,
the
right?
harmonia, the change that you made with the harmonia, I think keeps them alive. I think it's changed their physiology so they don't need it anymore.
Oh, so they're all just like actual
I
people
think
now
so.
instead
Yeah,
of. Okay, that's fine with
because
me.
that was part of the move, right? Or the profit thing, the profit roll change.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so that's cool. I like
Yeah, I
that.
like the idea of all the
So you
nanoswarm
look like
physiques
something.
from them like go up into, the
Yeah,
cloud.
yeah. Ooh, smart fabrics has me think. I don't actually want that, but the thing we said previously about how the readout is like a mix of nature and stuff. I want it to be. I always thought it was a cool thing to have clothes made out of impossible materials. So like cloth made out of steel, that kind of stuff,
Oh
right?
yeah,
So I think that would be cool. Like basically they have clothing, but it's made out of materials that's much more solid than it should have. Basically they have chainmail, but it's like
yeah.
cloth. one solid piece of cloth that is chainmail. I guess it wouldn't look quite like that, but so
What tags does it have on it?
yeah. Actually I like the idea of having mantle
Mm-hmm.
as a tag for it. But not camo. Probably. Oh shoot, I gotta look up the tags again. What page was that?
It's a handout.
Oh, there's a
Yep.
handout. I forgot. Okay, that I should have just looked at that last time.
You have to choose.
Gear.
Yeah, utility, camo, and regal are the like base ones. So you should choose one of those, and then you get mantle.
Oh, I see. Okay. Um. Um. Yeah. Actually, maybe I won't go with that idea just because it sort of smacks of their original
Hmm.
thing and doesn't fit with what we said earlier. So let's go with uh utility, I guess, because like we said, they were wearing like gray like cloth and stuff,
Right.
but it can have mantle for whatever reason. Smart fabrics, like I haven't figured out the justification for that,
Yeah.
but and how do you travel? Horses, tractors, or airships? I mean, I definitely want tractors. That's silly.
And their vehicles were
Um,
just completely destroyed. So this is like a completely new way of traveling.
right, yeah.
You also could just not choose anything for that and do expertise instead.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you
You should do
only.
ecologist.
Yeah,
Quality
yeah.
on heal the land.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it doesn't sound
Yeah,
like they
we'll
would
do
be
that.
traveling a lot.
No, I don't think so. That was us. So yeah, we'll take ecologist instead then.
Cool.
So we get two moves: building bridges. More than anything, technology to reshape landscape defines the lore and craft of your people. When you and another family or faction work together to edit the homeland, spend two treaty on each other. Add a connector, and a feature, or another large scale structure to the map.
That's cool.
Just build things on the map, basically. That's cool. Taming the land. When you and another family or faction work to tame hostile ground, spend two tech in a joint effort to turn it into regular terrain. Effectively, you're removing the disadvantage there. It may take. Well, that sounds like that's probably right
Oh yeah, for sure.
because it's literally like
That's what it is.
making an effort
And
to
now we have a
do
mechanical
larger
thing
scale
to do it.
cleansing. Yeah, exactly. That's cool. Innovative descent. When you unleash a natural hazard. Jeez. Spend 2 data to place hostile ground. So I can just do the opposite. Well, I don't think I'm going to do that. I don't think we have that capability anymore. Even the Ozaki way. I don't know what that means. 3 things matter in life: to be true to yourself, what do they take with you, obtain your footprints behind. 3 armor versus natural hazard, range tracks of extreme athleticism in the wilds. It's really specific. Arcane Atlas. When your characters uncover a long hidden secret of the wasteland, just spend data to reveal a safe passage, natural resource, barrier, or refuge. It will last for at least this age, maybe longer. I feel like Arcane Atlas makes sense just because of the long-lived nature
Yeah,
of the thing. So take that one.
cool.
When a family or faction acknowledges your ways as the greatest hope for the future, gain one treaty on them. It's probably never going to happen. Uh, Architects characters gain +1 steel or lore. Quick characters can take Trench Warrior. What? That's cool.
That is cool.
Airborne support comms units. Demolitions expert. Cool. All right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Nice. I like that.
Awesome. Cool. So I don't know how much time you have.
I should probably go. Did you have any last second
There's
stuff?
one thing that happens at the end of that just happened last session that I know needs to happen.
Okay. Yeah.
If you don't have anything else that you want to do quickly, then we'll do that.
Well, how long do you think it? How involved would the flying into the rift thing be? Do you think?
I think it would be. I mean, if you would just do it.
Yeah, that was my thought.
Go
I think
ahead.
that we.
Yeah.
I figured we'd end the session with that, and then we'll find out what happens.
Let's do that.
And you can tell me what goes on.
Let's do that, and then I'll have the thing happen at the very end. That will just kind of,
Yeah, I think we see him go up to a character, and I'll figure out who this character is. Mm-hmm. But he says,
I know who she is. I've had a character built for forever now that I never got to introduce because it tells you at the beginning of when you're like doing like first session stuff. To like make a character who's like the opposite role of the main character of that faction, so fun. It's like a contrast. So I made a gal named Sakane Torabi, dark skin, looks like an Egyptian princess, the dark skinned Egyptian princess. She's I made her as just to to give some more flavor. I made her as the historian, and so she's been like a chronicler of the events of the faction for a long time now.
Yeah. Okay, so he goes up to her. What's her name? I'm sorry.
Sakane. Here, I'll put it in.
Okay.
Sakane Torabi.
All right. Is that an Egyptian name? Sakane.
Well, I think we decided they were gonna have more Persian names.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah. So he goes up to her and he said, and obviously everything looks different now visually than it did in the last scene, basically, or like the scene before last, I guess. So he says, Sakane, I will need to leave for some time. I do not know how long I will be gone, but we need someone to guide us who remembers properly what the past was like, so that we make sure we do not relapse.
Exactly.
So I'd like you to establish whatever I assume that
the Elder Council. Yeah.
I'd like you to establish the council. I think perhaps it would be inappropriate for me to do so, given my current position. While I am gone, hopefully I'll be back shortly, but I may not be back at all. And if that is the case, I need to leave these people in good hands. Your hands, specifically. So I know you will do the job well. And he just nods to her.
And she doesn't, we don't need to have her say anything.
Yeah, it's fine. And then, I think we just see him walk out of the gate, I guess, or whatever. And
you're gonna do your body changing move.
Yeah. Protean form. Yeah. Can fly or travel anywhere in sight. Yep. Cool. Let's see how this goes.
Nice.
8. All right. So hold 2. All right. I don't lose anything. Oh, that's unusual. Okay. So I'm going to spend. Obviously, I'm gonna spend 1 to fly or trout. I might grow figurative plates. I'm gonna put some protective stuff up. I don't really know how well the rift is gonna react to me flying there with discordant energy. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna try and armor myself up a little bit.
So does this look like Eskander turning into an angel, basically? Or what?
At the moment it probably does, but less like an angel and more maybe more like the angel of death, and that it's probably all gray and ashy. And yeah, I think he basically just dissociates a little bit, and there's like a weird fog around him, and then he just like flashes into the sky really fast. Uh,
There's obviously
and
like a smoking crater, like cracked ground where you jumped off.
yeah, it's definitely yeah. And we'll see how that goes for him. I guess next time I get to play. Uh, Meanwhile, I'll have to make a character for second and see she can do the thing.
So basically, your plan is you're just gonna fly
uh,
into the rift and see what happens.
yeah, I don't know if this changes my role at all, but
No, I think you're still.
yeah, it's profit. That's right. It's profit.
I don't know. It might be outsider. Mark when
Maybe
you
I feel
reject
like I'm.
baseline humanity to preserve your own evolution.
Yeah.
Mark a place on the
So
map where you
yeah.
might use the energy of the fall as a catalyst.
Jeez, I feel like I did that. I should have checked that as my very first one. Honestly, that was the thing that happened, right? Because he can't reject baseline humanity. He already did that. He's rejecting baseline evil, right? Like, I feel like that's probably what I should have taken instead of leader for his first thing. But
I'm fine. I think you're still a prophet right now. But
yeah,
let's say
he's overpowered
yeah,
enough as it is. I don't
exactly.
think he
It
needs
doesn't.
to be more stacked. Although now I'm actually interested in taking some of my inheritance.
Exactly. Yeah, I honestly want to give it to you. I'm gonna have you mark outsider.
But, oh yeah. Really? Oh, okay. Thank you. Let me check the inheritance moves again. I just saw that they were good. I didn't read all the specific stuff, but I'm sorry. So what was the thing you said you had a thing to end on, right?
Yes. So the I think this probably what happens actually as Eskander is flying over the homeland, right? You suddenly see a wave of power. It's like the whole world goes dark for a second, and then suddenly a giant canyon, like thousands of yards wide, probably like a mile wide, opens in the ground beneath you. And I'll take you to the map briefly, but I put this on the GM layer, even though I put this on there last time. It doesn't look like this obviously, but I didn't have time to like put it on the map. I just drew a line where it opens up.
Oh boy, okay.
So, and you don't know how this happened, but suddenly through the entire homeland, there's just a giant rift that opens up, and then Tannerin starts spurting out.
Oh, good. All right. Well, it's a good thing we have a way to fix terrain now.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Jeez.
This is I just have a brief question for you. And there's like an earthquake and stuff. You can't feel it because you're like flying, but
yeah.
Would Eskander still go to the rift, or would he try to like stop this or do something to?
I mean, I feel like given the scale, I mean, for one, there's stuff in between the rift and our place has gun walls, so I feel like given that he doesn't think they're in immediate danger, he also probably thinks there's no way he's going to be able to fix this without whatever. Because I realized the second part of that was talk about a spot on the map that would help you. And
exactly.
Obviously, I'm flying into that spot right now. It's not from the fall, but it's close enough. And so I feel like he probably assumes this is not going to go well unless he can come back with something to use.
Awesome.
So
the last thing I want you to do then is roll hold together, roll plus mood for your family.
Oh, okay.
Because there's a giant earthquake that goes across the whole homeland. Tannerin starts spreading out everywhere just to see how well they do. Just a quick note then, you get progress, which you can immediately spend on the wonder if you want.
Yeah, sure.
And then the only thing you need is crops.
Yep, which we wanted to do.
Which you would do by working with Cassius anyway. So that makes sense for me. So,
although, how in the world did he get there? There's a giant evil trench.
It wasn't there when he got it.
Oh,
it literally just happened at the end of last session.
So is he stuck on our side?
So actually, Cassius is he has black helicopters for one.
That's
and
fair.
he had just secured the terraforming machine, And then he saw this giant crack and he was like, boy, all right. And he decided to go after the terraforming technology in the Ring of Perfect Weather surrounded by deadly storms to try to fix the world.
Oh.
He's basically doing the one thing that he shouldn't do, and that is use the old terraforming technology again to try to fix the world. Exactly.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
Also, every other character is there now. Everyone has descended on this for various reasons.
Why? Did they do that on purpose?
Well, Josh's character, Josh and Riva, the Hellbreaker character, right, are both there to also get that so that they can use it to make this Cyclopean temple that invaded our reality into a new palace for the demon lord that is in charge of the recollection, to try to get him on their side, on the New Harmony side instead.
Oh, good. Okay.
Also, Carly's character and Connor and Iseret, the good version of Iseret that got made into a herald's body. I don't know if we told you about that.
Yes. Yeah.
So. They are all there because they were angels when Mortuo, Josh's character, the quick character, who's the body carrier for Cassius, fought them and almost killed them because he was like, you walked up, you were herald bodies, and you walked up and got away. Like, I need to get you. And they felt a call, a summons to that, a threat to that which is holy, which is Josh getting the terraforming thing, and they used it as an escape to get away from Mortuo, and so they all ended up in the same space, and then Cassius is going to show up there.
Nice.
And cool. It's entirely possible after Eskander goes into the rift that he might also want to go there because he might see a vision and see what's going on. Yeah,
probably. Also, I think I know what I want the weapons to be. I heard, and I don't know the science behind this at all, but I was watching a video by somebody on YouTube, and they said that in theory, if you compress sound waves intensely enough, they can cut things. And so, as much as I know that Jared will make It's a Sound Sword memes every 5 minutes, I think that I want them to channel harmonious energy, because I don't want to just have horns. Like, I don't want to copy that, right? I think I want them to channel that through like blades into blades, right? So
basically like mind blades, except with sound waves.
Yeah, basically. Cool. All right.
So yeah, go ahead and roll plus move, which is a +2 for you.
2? Okay.
Yep. Because right now you have leadership, scouts, defenses, and then a need for justice. Awesome. 8. So it's not as bad as it could be. Family moves. Hold together. On a hit, you remain mostly okay. Pick 1.
You lose people to harm and or desertion, get need recruits. Another family faction come through to help you. The danger hasn't passed as much as shifted into something more manageable. See what it is. And
so this is the main thing that this is like the earthquake that just happened, the massive earthquake that happened across the entire planet, basically.
Okay. I'm going to pick the third one. I feel like, to be totally honest, we just built this place out of magical technology, nanomachines. It's probably not going to fall over. So let's pick the third one, which I imagine is probably the Tannerin. Yeah, they're probably drawn to this place specifically. This and probably also the... And also, Iskander's not there anymore, right? So... the wall of fire that was keeping them out is no longer there. Yeah, now we have a wall of literal fire, or not literal. Well, so this is the thing that was from the readout move, which you don't have anymore. Oh, you're right. I forgot about that. Right. So obviously you still have guns and stuff, but like or mind blades or whatever it is. You have technology, but you don't have like an actual mechanic that says you have a gun wall. Right. Yeah, maybe I do want guns. I don't know. I'll still think about it. Either I want to do the sound blades, or I might come up with a way to make it into guns if I can. Because I mean, like a sonic gun. That's the thing. Yeah, that's true. It wouldn't have a lot of range, but yeah, it'd be like a sound wave shotgun. Yeah, that's true. Be aberrant in area, I guess. Probably. Well, I think I think they normally can only have 2 tags, and one of them has to be like ranged or melee, so it's like ranged and aberrant or something like that. Oh, right. But you can always add tags when you tool up. So. True. But like the base weapon would just be like a sonic gun. Right. Yeah. Well, and that's the weird thing about aberrant is it comes standard in so many like ideas, because it just means it doesn't use kinetic. Yeah, but it's important because a lot of the armor types are only good against aberrant or not good against aberrant. Right.
So
Well, that's what I mean. Like, it can't be a sound gun because that is aberrant, right? Like, if it's just ranged
if it was ranged in
and
area,
area,
I mean, I feel like it could
it
still
would
be a sound
be.
gun, just in a very conventional sense, just not magical. But obviously, that's not what you want. So yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Um, I mean, it could just be ranged and aberrant, and maybe it's in some way focused in like a rifle instead of a shotgun, right? I don't
Mm-hmm.
know how you would do that, but um,
Okay. Cool.
we'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Awesome. That was
cool.
Iskander's Lost Days.
Yeah.
Good stuff. That was a very fun session.
Yeah, that was
And
good.
it basically went
Got a
exactly as I
lot of
wanted
stuff
it
done.
to, because it helped us situate the perihelions in the world once more, which
Yep.
I'm excited about.
Cool. Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Poor
I wasn't
poor
really sure
Jared when he
where they were
figures
going.
out when that you become the good guy and he's actually becoming the evil guy again.
Right.
Sorry, what
Gosh.
were you saying?
Oh man. I was just say I didn't really have a direction for the
Mm-hmm.
perihelions after this. Not really. Like I kind of did. But I mean, they were literally wandering aimlessly, so I didn't really have a direction for them at
Yep.
first. So this has helped me really get back into the idea of them and get a better idea of where they're at and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, hopefully we can get Tuesdays off, or I can get Tuesdays off, and I can
Mm-hmm.
start making it again.
Cool stuff.
Yeah, cool.
All right, that's been the Hellbreaker sequence. We're out. Adios.